Zizek's book, The Sublime Object of Ideology, brings together philosophy, psychoanalysis, and political theory to examine how ideology works in our everyday lives. The book uses complex thinkers like Hegel, Marx, and Lacan, but Zizek explains in a way that helps us understand how we are shaped by systems of belief, even when we think we are free. He argues that ideology is not just about political slogans or government control, it is about how we unconsciously accept the rules and beliefs of society, and how these beliefs shape what we think is normal, true, or even desirable. At the center of his argument is the idea that ideology is not something that hides the truth from us. Ideology is what helps us deal with the truth by creating a reality we can live with. People often believe things not because they are logically true, but because they need them to make sense of the world. Ideology is not just in what we say, it is in what we do, in the way we live, and in the habits we don't even notice. Even when people of political systems or pretend to be cynical, they still often act as if the system is true. This is one way ideology survives. Zizek builds his argument using psychoanalysis, especially the ideas of Lacan. He uses the concept of the real, that is something that cannot be symbolized or fully expressed in language. The real is something outside our understanding that still affects us. We try to fill the gap left by the real through ideology, fantasy, and symbols. In this way, ideology becomes a way to avoid facing the traumatic real. It creates a fantasy that allows us to function without being overwhelmed by the contradictions or uncertainty. In the first chapter, Zizek sets up his basic ideas using Lacanian theory. He introduces the idea of the subject as something split and incomplete. We are not whole or fully aware. We are shaped by language, by unconscious desires, and by social structures. Ideology works by giving us a story that makes us feel like we are complete and that the world makes sense. This story is not always told directly. It can be felt in symbols, rituals, and actions. For example, we may say we don't believe in money, but we still act as if it has power. This gap between belief and behavior is where ideology lives. He also examines how ideology hides working. In traditional views, ideology was something like a mask covering the truth. But Zizek says that today, ideology works even when we know it is false. People laugh at politicians, mock capitalism, or criticize the media, but they continue to behave as if these systems are natural and unchangeable. Irony and sarcasm do not protect us from ideology. In fact, they may make it even stronger by giving us the feeling of distance while keeping us inside the system. He also discusses the sublime object of ideology. This is something that seems to give meaning to everything: a nation, a cause, a leader, or a belief. It is the thing that people feel they must protect or honor, even if they cannot explain it fully. It is sacred, untouchable, and beyond questioning. It is also empty at its core. The sublime fantasy that holds ideology together. People fight wars or die for it, even if they can't clearly define it. Zizek shows this object is not real in itself. It exists only because of the belief people put into it. He then uses examples from politics, literature, and popular culture to show how ideology is everywhere. One famous example he uses is from the film They Live, where a man puts on special glasses and sees the hidden messages behind ads and signs: obey, consume, stay asleep. Zizek likes this image because it shows how ideology controls us not by hiding things but by organizing what we see as natural. He also looks at examples from nationalism where people act as if their country is scared and unique, even when their actions contradict that belief. He uses Marx to show how ideology is tied to economic systems. Capitalism, for example, creates a world where people act according to rules or profit, competition, and individual success. These values seem natural, but they are created by a system that benefits certain groups. Even criticize capitalism, we often continue to live by its rules. He connects this to Lacan's idea of enjoyment or jouissance. Ideology gives us a strange kind of pleasure. Even when it hurts us, we enjoy complaining, suffering, or being part of a cause because it gives us a sense of meaning. In the later chapters, Zizek talks about how ideology can change and how people can resist it. He is critical of easy answers or quick revolutions. He says real change comes from facing the contradictions in our beliefs and actions and from breaking the fantasy that holds the system together. This is not easy. It means losing the comfort of the sublime object and facing the real. The hard truth that there is no perfect solution or final answer. But for Zizek, this is where real freedom begins.